was a big clash with her because at some point she was telling me, well, you're not a good mom.
So you breastfed the twins?
I breastfed,
Wow.
I pumped. It
Hats
was
off.
like, yeah. For my kids to see me happy and to see me a working mom, independent, strong, building myself, having my own purpose beside being their mom. I think that really served me.
Your case is absolutely amazing.
Now that I go back, I do believe that I had some sort of a postpartum depression.
I only figure out that I had postpartum anxiety 4 years in. Hi moms, welcome back to another episode with Mom's Chronicle, and today I have the honor to have my friend, a fellow Canadian pediatric dentist, Dr. Rafif. She's a mom of 3, writer and a speaker as well, and she wrote this book, Dr. Smiles, and I'm really honored to have her today. Hi Rafif, how are you?
Hi Zara, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for coming. And today, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself and your motherhood journey.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure actually to come and meet you outside the clinic.
I know.
Right, and we met many years ago, right? When Lucas was 1 for a first trip to the dentist, and I remember that because we also come from the same city, we had like this special connection.
Exactly.
So it felt very organic, and it was always a pleasure, to see you coming back for his checkup, and to also see your motherhood journey, grow and grow, right? And also the juggle that you had, right, between changing jobs and what do I want to do, the career orientation. Remember, we even spoke about it. So it's nice to see all this. So about me, I'm basically a dentist for children. I came to the UAE. I keep recounting every year, but I think it's been almost 16 years now.
Wow,
I'm in the UAE. I came here in 2008. So it all started in Abu Dhabi, moving straight from Montreal. And then I joined an American clinic there. It was a North American team that I was excited to join. And then I got married then. I delivered my twins in Abu Dhabi in Corniche Hospital, so it was, it was a nice memory. Abu Dhabi holds that special memory because I had the twins there, and then I moved to Qatar and then back to Dubai. We moved to Beirut
with your
for
twins.
A few months with the twins. When we moved to Qatar, I kept my job in Abu Dhabi and Dubai because I didn't want to leave my job because I felt that...
How did you manage having the twins?
It was hard.
And living in Qatar and working in Dubai and Abu Dhabi?
It was very hard. We had to move because my ex-husband back then, the company where he worked, they kind of closed in Abu Dhabi. He was working for a government entity, and then the government decided to close that government entity at that point. So we were kind of, we had to leave Abu Dhabi. Right, because he was between 2 jobs.
How did you feel at the time that you had to?
It was traumatic because I was working. I took my maternity leave to deliver the twins, and then I was planning to deliver them, serve my maternity leave, and go back to work. Right, because I cannot live without working. So what happened is that we suddenly, he was out of a job. And then, he was looking for another job, and he was signing his next job, but there was a few months between them. And then we said, okay, let's go to Beirut, spend a few months, because we will have the parents helping, right, with twins. It was my first pregnancy, everything, and then crash,
Yeah.
you have
crash course.
Yeah, you have crash course, 2 babies. So we said, okay, let's move to Beirut. But it was a bit traumatic for a mom to deliver twins and then had to pack a house, boxes.
I imagine it's even harder for you because
it's very hard.
You lived in different cities. You grew up in Montreal, and then now you were living in a city, and then went to another city, and then moving everybody to
moving a house, and dealing with your recovery of C-section. 2-3 weeks postpartum. and you're learning everything about the twins. You're sleep deprived. I mean, it's the twin delivery is not like a single baby. And moving houses and, not knowing, being in the unknown of, where we're going to be, and being suddenly parachuted in your mother-in-law house was not a walk in the park. So it was very traumatic. It was difficult. It was almost a period of my life that it was a bit blurry because it was so traumatic. I think now that I would go back, I know now that the best thing for a mom when she delivers is to just be in the comfort of her house with no one telling her what to do.
This is
Exactly.
exactly the aim of Mom's Chronicle.
Yeah.
Because we want to have the experience of mom who've been there, done that,
Yeah.
know better. So your case is absolutely amazing because you've done it all,
Yeah.
you've been there, and you know better. So
Yeah.
now you're saying something very important. You're
Yes.
saying like the most important place to be, or the best place to be for a new mom, is her house.
Yes, and I think sometimes moms are kind of fooled by, telling themselves, oh, I need the help. I need my mother's-in-law help. I need my mom's help. I need my aunt's help. I need someone experienced. I need
But
someone to
at
hold
what
the baby
cost,
for me.
yeah?
Exactly. It's at the cost of sometimes your mental health, of, someone maybe, bombarding you with a lot of instructions. But then at the end of the day, you don't need instruction. You need to be in the calm of you and your baby, because at the end of the day, you will know what to do, at your own pace. And sometimes what people, tell you or advise you is not what you might feel at that moment, or it's not the right thing for you. It may
And
be
let's
something
face
right
it,
for someone else.
It's different generations. Like, you're talking about somebody who raised kids 20 plus years ago, and you're a new mom, you're trying to learn your path, and you're not necessarily have the same values
100%.
as your mom, we change,
100%. And that was where also I had a clash in Beirut, because I was, I was living in that house for, I think, a couple of months or 3 months. And we moved to Qatar with the twins when they were 5 months. So basically, when they were, between 1 month and 5 months, we were in that house with all the parents, the help, everything. But then sometimes too much help, kind of suffocates you. So it was mentally draining to deal with everything, your own body image, changing, your own recovery, breastfeeding twins.
So you breastfed
Yes,
the twins?
I breastfed,
Wow.
I pumped. It
Hats
was
off.
like, yeah. So it was breastfeeding, pumping, and going through, like, now that I said it last week at Baby Expo, the baby industry today, right? When you had your last baby, is very different, from the baby industry 12 years ago. I had nothing. There was no social media. There was no Instagram, shooting on you different brands and accounts and, the
Knowledge.
know-how.
Yeah.
I gained so much know-how now only by looking at Instagram and, understanding all the different baby brands, because there's so much knowledge out there, right, that we didn't have 12 years ago. 12 years ago, you had to just figure it out by yourself, and you had maybe
And
one
also,
or two
there is
brands.
a lot of studies that came after whatever happened 12, 15 years ago.
And I
which is different.
remember I was breast pumping at some point, because to cater for the twins, it was too hard. I felt like a cow. I was like a milk factory, because I had like an oversupply. And then at some point I had to pump to be able to accommodate, to their needs. So I had like almost a full fridge just with my breast milk, all labeled and everything. And I was breastfeeding. And I was, dealing with all my mental health, because now that I go back, I do believe that I had some sort of a postpartum depression. I had really deep blues. And
It's funny you say that, because for me was the same. When I had Lucas, I only figured out that I had postpartum anxiety 4 years in.
100%.
After. When I started trying for my second, I realized that there is something I didn't even that existed even. I thought there was only postpartum depression.
And when you're in the hole, you don't know you're in a hole, right? It's very dark there. You don't know where you are. So it's really hard. Only when you get out of it and then, you're more aware of what's happening, then you realize, oh, okay, you know what? It wasn't really me at that point.
Do you think that your breastfeeding journey helped or did not help in your mental state? Like, how did you feel when you had that charge of like having to breastfeed two twins and like
I think it was very overwhelming. It was exhausting because also breastfeeding twins is not maybe the normal or the average way of breastfeeding. When you have one baby, you breastfeed that baby. He falls asleep. You have the luxury to fall asleep. For me, I was breastfeeding one baby, and then when baby one falls asleep, baby two was awake. So I had to breastfeed him. When baby two falls asleep, baby one would be awake again.
Yeah, so it
was a continuous, non-stop, exhausting experience. And then it put me in a place where my physical health was affected. My sanity was, kind of being affected. The relationship with my husband back then was affected. The relationship with my parents and my parents-in-law were affected. I started questioning myself. Am I made for this? I need to stop breastfeeding. I wasn't feeling myself. There's a lot of things. Your hormones. Are you eating enough to breastfeed? Am I eating the right food to breastfeed? Do I have time to figure out, a diet for myself to be able to give the right breast milk for my baby? All those questions, start arising, and you go into that, like roller coaster of emotions and thoughts. Am I enough? The guilt trips that a mom feels, is my breast milk good enough?
So now
all
thinking
those
back
things.
about this period of your time where you had so many doubts about yourself, like were you doing enough? Were you enough for your kids, etc.? What would you think that something would have helped you when you were in that situation?
I figured it out back then, and it was another clash that I had at that point with my mother-in-law. And I never spoke about it. Actually, I spoke about this before, but I think it's important because what happened is that I think at month 3, I figured that going back to work for me will kind of being my own, salvaging,
Individual,
my own, rescue button. Because it will just make me feel that I'm productive again. It's me again, at least for a certain period of time, during the day where I feel like I'm myself. And then it would just, kind of rescue me from that state of like, depressive mode where I was. So what I did is that I remember that night I gathered my parents and my parents-in-law, and I told them, it was like an announcement. I told them I'm going back to work. And during that period, the circumstances were a bit tricky because we were in Beirut temporarily, so we can move to Qatar. And then we still had 2 to 3 months to move to Qatar, and my job was in Abu Dhabi, right? Because I still had this position of a pediatric dentist in Abu Dhabi. And
so you were
at
just
that
on
point,
maternity leave.
I left a very busy schedule in Abu Dhabi. I was, I had my career at that point was, at the golden, stage where you're just like pushing, and then, you're getting a lot, right? So, and I loved it. I loved my patients in Abu Dhabi. I was almost missing them. And that was like 2 to 3 months, right? Postpartum, the twins were 2 to 3 months. I had my parents helping, my parents-in-law helping. I had a helper at home, and my husband back then was on a dad leave, right? Was on his parenting leave, so he was also helping. But I decided at that point to make an announcement to them that I'm going back to work, and the way I will do it, the clinic was gonna like gather for me, like book the patients, after my maternity leave at the clinic in Abu Dhabi. I will go for like 2-3 days, see them from like morning till late night. And then I will go back to Beirut.
So you would live the twins?
I would live the twins for 2-3 days, every like 3 to 4 weeks, see them and come. But I felt that at this point, it's just something that I really needed, because it felt like in going to Beirut, delivering the twins, and going through this deep hole of a bit depressive mode, felt like I was abandoning myself, my body, my image, everything that I've built in my life, my career, the feeling of being productive or having a purpose in life other than being a mom. So, and the reaction that I had at that point, there was a support from my husband. There was full support from my parents, but then I had a huge clash with my mother-in-law. Because my mother-in-law was the mother-in-law who, she was a journalist, she was a housewife. But the old generation, because she came from a much older generation than my parents, it was a big clash with her because at some point she was telling me, well, you're not a good mom for doing that. And that came very hurtful to me because I knew that I'm a good mom, and I knew that at the end of the day, my happiness, or my stable mental health will predict the happiness of my children.
Absolutely.
So I was not okay when I heard that from her, but I told her, you know what, it's fine. We will talk less, further in the future. But for me, it was like, it was a tipping point that, I know what feels right for my body and my mental health.
Yeah. When she told you that at that time, knowing Rafif at that time as the mom, postpartum, etc., what was your response to that?
I was angry. I was angry. I was not happy. Of course, no one would like that answer, and no one wants to be judged when you're postpartum, you're recovering, you're all hormonal, you're breastfeeding, right? It's like how a mom goes through. So
Do you feel like moms in general, like all generations together, the blame is there, right? Like
totally.
Like the most critics that you get is from other moms.
Totally.
Right?
And it's so sad, right? Because we are in the same journey.
Exactly.
Hence, you always feel that there's a look of blame. And
they are doing better than you as a mom, and you're not doing enough.
And I had a long period feeling that because I divorced after, and I was a single mom, and the whole single motherhood, especially in this region, there's a lot of stigma around it.
I want to touch base later on.
Exactly,
on that,
and there's always, totally. I think we have a lot to say in today's world about how women and moms should treat other moms, and we should stop blaming each other or making each other feel like more guilty. And then if you delivered a baby and you stayed home, you decided to stay home for 3 years and doing nothing and go shopping, who am I to judge you or to blame you for that? If this feels right to you, just do it. Exactly. If you feel like going back to work the next week and leaving your baby with a helper for 6 or 8 hours and going back to work, and this feels right for you, please do it. You should never feel judged. Your experience is your own. And then if that makes you happy and it makes your baby happy, why not? Why do we have to, point fingers at a mom that
because
her experience is not yours?
I mean, nobody's perfect.
No.
Nobody's perfect, and especially as a mom, you roll with the dice. Like you're going through the wave, learning. Like I see myself, for example, sometimes I blame myself, I didn't do this with Lucas, and I wasn't like this with Lucas, it's my first, blah, blah, blah. But I think we need to brush off that, and it's a learning journey, and wherever you are in your motherhood is good enough for your kid,
It is.
Like, you don't need to be better for other people. You want to be better for your kid.
Very true.
So
very true. So I went back to work.
You went back to
part time.
Yeah.
It made me feel much happier. I think that was the milestone that actually saved me, from a mental health perspective. And looking back now to it, it was the best decision I made because later on, 2 years later, I divorced and I was a single mom when my twins were 2 years. And I think one of the things that saved me and that guaranteed my financial independency and me being strong and on my feet and moving on and, until the day I am, today, was the fact that I went to work early and I kept my career ongoing. I didn't just abandon it. And I think going back, that was the best decision. And also for my kids to see me happy and to see me a working mom, independent, strong, building myself, having my own purpose beside being their mom. I think that really served me.
Of course, yeah, because you're reflecting what would a mother would be: strong, independent. Life still goes on, even if you're divorced or whatever, or you're single mom. So how that decision came about? Like, you divorced your ex-husband. How did you decide to take on the charge of having the kids full time?
I didn't decide. I think it just came organically. I think as moms, we discover a strength that we didn't know it existed, right? Before we were a mom. I think if you talk to all the moms out there, I think you feel that you change, right? There's something that changes in you. Some part of you, completely changes when you become a mom. There's no coming back from it. And I think that really happened maybe in an intense way for me, because it happened with a single motherhood and a twins and being an expat. So I was an expat in Qatar. I was a single mom, and their father at some point he traveled like out of Qatar, right? So he was in Washington at some point. So it was kind of a blow, but it just happened, and I had to deal with it. And back then, I was at that point when we reached Qatar. So the twins were 5 months.
Wow.
I was almost even before I divorced. It felt for me like I was a bit of a single mom, because my husband at that point, he was a consultant and he was traveling a lot. So when you are married to someone who travels a lot,
the default parent.
Yes, it's you are married on paper, but it feels like you're doing parenting a little bit on your own, right? So I was a little bit used to it, because I went back to doing my license in Qatar. I did all this. I started practicing in a private clinic in Doha. The babies there were days where I would be with them, or half of the days where I would be with them, and I would go to work for a few hours in the afternoon in the beginning. I arranged a nursery for them, part-time in the beginning, and then
How did you balance at that time? How were you balancing, like, what kind of like advice you can give to a single mom who's today here as an expat in Dubai? Like, what would be the advice for this single mom to be balancing career and her personal life?
I think, Zara, the word balance is like non-existent. I don't think there's a balance for us moms. I think the world is a little bit unfair for a mom, because think about it, when you start producing in your life, suddenly you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? So everything paused.
Stops.
And then when you start moving on with your career, you want to invest in something, you want to get promoted, right? Or you want to do the next level in your career. Your kids start, growing up, and then they have needs, they have crushes, they're hormonal, they really want to reach puberty. And then you need to compromise, right? Do I go full-fledged in my career, or do I cater for their needs? Do I do therapy at home for my kids? Or, it's true, we have such, like an upside down design for moms, right? Versus the dads, right? They go on full-fledged in their career. Nothing stops them, they're not breastfeeding. They're not getting pregnant. There's no baby coming out of their body.
So the expectations are really unrealistic for
yes,
moms.
and then what is balance at that point? Well, how do you balance all this, right? How do you balance being a full career mom, and you cater for your kids, and you drop them to the basketball, and you do the football, and you help them with the homework, and you cook? There are so many. So I think if you just start with planning for balance, I don't think it's going to happen. I think you really need to prioritize what you want in this life, and then start planning, where do I need to compromise?
Yes.
But it took me, it's sad that it took me
this long,
12 years to figure that out, right? Because there's so much social pressure.
Exactly.
And there's so much
and
blame,
the social,
guilt that come from other moms.
Pressure.
You're not cooking for your baby, you're not cooking for your child. There's always
the social pressure comes primarily from your entourage. Like you start with the
From your
family,
peers,
you
from
know.
your
As you
community.
said earlier, your ex-mother-in-law, she told you you're not a good mother. You know what I
Totally.
mean? Like it comes from the people that are the closest to you.
When you see all those recipes, right, on YouTube, you know, what did I do for my baby today? And you see this recipe, and she was almost doing like a Michelin star, right? Omelette.
But that's not
You know,
realistic,
yesterday
though.
I saw a video. You know, she's taking those syringes and she's putting the egg yolk in them, right? And she's putting them on the fryer, and she's doing those mini, tiny, little, right, fried egg for her baby. And I'm like, who has time to do this?
Nobody has time for that.
Right?
And let's just clarify something.
But this is the pressure that we get.
Social media is not reality. Okay, whatever is happening out there is not the reality of everyday's mom. Like every day, you don't have this time. You don't have it. Even if you had one kid, you don't have this time. So let's not just dive into the social media craze, because that's absolutely
You know, it's not
unrealistic.
reality. That's very true. But, you know, the majority of people today are feeding from it every day. And the more you watch it, the more you scroll on your phone, you know, you
The
are
more it
seeing
messes
those
with your
videos,
brain.
right? You
Yeah.
are seeing a mom 6 month postpartum, you know, with abs, right? And then wearing her bikini, and she's on the beach on the Maldives. And then moms who don't look like that, they feel bad, because, but that image is fake, right? No one looks like that. So, you know, we're feeding from it, and I think it's not a good thing also for our daughters to see, you know. So there are a lot of reality checks that need to be made.
I mean, we're creating a lot of body dysmorphia for moms, you know, like I take it for myself, you know, even though I feel like for the majority of time I go back into a little bit of shape not long after having kids, but I still look at myself and I don't recognize my body, you know, like I'm like, oh my God, when is this ending? When I'm gonna get back to where I was, you know?
Yes.
And then you hear this other mom who tells you, how come you're like already in shape, you know, after, and you don't realize it because you see yourself, that's not you in the mirror. So it doesn't matter where stage you are as a mother, you're never good enough for yourself. So you're always gonna find something to blame yourself for, or,
True.
you know, so
We are too hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And we are, you know, at the same time, I think a mom in general, she is too nice to everyone around her. And she's such a giver. She gives so much to the world and to her loved ones. But at the same time, she is the meanest person towards herself, you know? And I think we need to start normalize, you know, not being too hard on yourself as a mom, because we are designed in the society to be hard on ourselves. And I think that's something that I learned very late in life, you know. I really need to be more kind on myself.
do you think as moms we should learn how to say no or stand up for ourselves when it comes to, you know, because this message can go out for all the new moms, because I wish when I was a new mom somebody told me there is postpartum anxiety, you know, I would have like taken something or get some help, or because for 3 months I didn't sleep at all. So do you think that we should teach moms to stand up for themselves more?
Yes, and I think we also are maybe raised or brought up socially where pregnancy and motherhood and postpartum are painted in pink. Like a lot, right? So you really need to, paint it in a more realistic way. And there should be a lot more awareness. I also had zero awareness about what pregnancy is, what postpartum is, you know, what the body recovery is right after postpartum before I got pregnant. I thought, oh, it's going to be a walk in the park. It's all in pink, you know.
It's Hollywood style.
Even the media, right, paints it in a very pinky,
Exactly.
you know, rosy, positive way.
Yeah.
But it's
reality is,
there are a lot of non-positive sides about it that we jump into it, and then suddenly we're just getting, you know, a lot of things that we have to deal with that we were not prepared. And it's true that, you know, I always say motherhood is probably one of the only things in life that doesn't come with a manual of instructions, right? But at the same time, I think if we are better prepared for it, and there are more awareness, from moms to other moms, how to prepare for pregnancy, what to expect, right?
Exactly.
The real expectations
Exactly.
of postpartum.
And that's
then we are
why
better
we
prepared.
created this podcast, because we want mom to hear from other moms' experience and not like something else, because you can take some from here, some from there, and you're prepared mentally to what's coming for you, right?
True.
So now, as a mom with two stages, so you had the twins at an early stage, and then you have your baby right now at a later stage in your life and mental and etc. Do you think that your twins missed on something with that mom that was there?
I wouldn't want to believe that, although it's true, because the person I am today, I'm 42 next month. The person I am today is very different than that 29-year-old who had the twins, right? It's a completely different person. I matured, I evolved, I built a lot in those 13 years. I'm a very different mom. So it's a bit unfair to say that, my twins maybe missed out on something, because the person I was there is not even the mom of my baby who is today, right? But of course, I think any mom will agree with me that her first pregnancy is very different than from her third, right? I'm much more chilled. I'm much more relaxed. When I had the twins, I remember I almost had a book, which was like my Bible. You know what I mean? And then I took it and I was like, okay, he's burping.
What should I do?
Page 68. What do I do when he burps? You were almost OCD in everything he does. No one is allowed to touch him. No one is allowed to do anything.
Clean your hands.
You're so much hands-on, you almost want to live in a sterile environment. And now with my third, she can almost eat from the floor, and then I'm chilled, right? Because I've been there, I've done that. I realized, with my twins, I think I bought the entire baby store, and now with my third baby, I'm like, okay, 2 onesies.
Exactly.
That's it. All a baby needs the first few months is a onesie.
Like I had a full wardrobe for Lucas.
Totally.
Like all 0 to 3 months and outfits and things like that. What are you gonna put with that?
I remember I had those cute Adidas shoes for the twins that they never wore, by the way. Because what baby would wear shoes? But then the shops, they market so much on you, and then you're so overwhelmed with your first pregnancy. But of course, I've done a lot of things differently today than 12 years ago. But did they miss out on something? I think I would say the only thing that maybe they would miss out is that calm, chilled mom that I am now. But
they are benefiting now from that.
They're, of course, yeah. And I feel with my twins, I grew up with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I learned from them. They learned from me. We've been through a lot together. So it's been a
Because it's young
journey.
having kids at 29, Like I only started at 37.
Yeah.
So 29, you're still trying to get your career to take off. You just finished school, You're not there yet to be a mother,
No.
So
Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit all these years? So you were a single mom.
For 10 years.
For 10 years. Okay. So during these 10 years, have you ever thought about getting in a relationship again, having more kids? How did that happen? Never.
Never. It was maybe the only thing that I never thought about doing, because those 10 years for me were years that had a lot of struggle. First, on a personal level, because I had custody battle for 10 years with my ex-husband. So basically, I was 10 years at court.
Wow.
So it was, you imagine the stress of court, of the fear every day of waking up and having your kids being taken away from you. So I was dealing with that. I was, doing my career with a smile on my face every day at the clinic, as if there's nothing happening at home. And I was parenting, right, alone. And when you parent as an expat, you know how it is, right? You've been there. You're not parenting with your parents next to you. You're not parenting with your whole tribe, next to you. You're parenting alone. If you want someone to take your kids to their basketball, you need to hire a driver. If you need someone to clean the house, you need to do it yourself, or paying someone to come clean your house. So everything is outsourced when you're an expat, right? You don't have this help. And sometimes the help from parents comes with peace of mind that you don't have as an expat. So it was a struggle, because I felt like I'm the mom, I'm the dad, I'm the aunt, I'm the grandpa, I'm the grandma, I'm the driver.
What was the lowest point in that period for you? Do you have like an event that when you think back, you're like, oh my God, like how did I survive that day, or how did I survive that month in these 10 years of battling with your ex-husband?
I think I had a lot of low points. But I remember like a few incidents. For example, I remember I rented a house when they moved with me in Dubai. I rented a house in Arabian Ranches, like a huge house. And then there was always those timings on a Sunday morning, right? When you see like a lot of families near you, like a dad, a mom, and kids, and you're just a single mom, right? Alone with her kids, biking to the golf club or doing something on their own. And then you started, reflecting the feeling of your kids on you. Like, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? What do I need to compensate that, right? What do I need to do to be able to, fill that gap? So I think it was a lot of mini lows, that happen here and there. But I think what made me go on is like, waking up every morning, making sure that, they have everything they needed.
How do you explain to your kids back then that you're the solo mom, solo parent, and the dad is not there, and why their family structure is the way it is? How did you do that?
I mean, their dad at that point was, in another country. And he was seeing them, not on a regular, not on a daily basis, but he was seeing them, every couple of months or so on. So he was there, but the nearest metaphor or analogy for me would be like, when you see like Santa, right? When Santa comes once a year, he comes with a lot of gifts. But he's not doing the police at home. He's not checking the homework. He's not taking you to the doctor, So dad for them was like Santa, right? He comes for a party, right? But when the party is over, we go back to the day-to-day parenting struggle. So it was a little bit like this. I didn't have explanation. They were too young to ask, to dig in all those things. But of course, I would feel that, at school, they're the child, where their dad is not, picking them up from school, or, on dad's day, it was, so it would be like a video call with him or something like this. But I never, to be honest, I didn't try to destroy myself by putting those, negative ideas. I was more busy being a mom. I was more busy being a great mom, fulfilling everything, cater for their needs, they're healthy, feeding them well, filling them with a lot of activities. They were very busy doing all kind of sports, friendships. And I was also the kind of mom where I would be working full-time during, the week. I would, stop my patients at some point to go back home, having this 2-3 hours of quality time before they go to bed, tuck them in bed. I was trying to make sure that I'm there for all those, critical moments of the day for them. And then on the weekend, I was like the cool mom jumping on,
Playing,
on the bouncy castle or on the trampoline at Bounce, right? No ad for Bounce now, but I was doing all the things that you would go on the weekend, because I did not want to be. I think now going back to it, I think I also avoided being home a lot. So we were always out doing things. We would be traveling, doing staycations somewhere. I remember in COVID, I did so many staycations with them because, the feeling of being home, would be
makes you think as well, right?
Exactly. So we were really always on the go. doing thing. And I think they loved that. It was a lot of memories that we built together, and it was nice.
So keeping them busy and yourself as well.
Keeping them busy, and also I think really believing that you're doing your best at that moment, will take you out from that negative feelings, and also thinking forward, just putting a goal for you. So I had a lot of personal goals for myself to build myself, because I realized early in my divorce that being financially independent will really be my my biggest power in this. Exactly. So I made sure that I'm making money, I'm building my own wealth, I'm investing my money very well, not on fancy dresses, but on investing things that would bring passive income. I had zero clue how to manage money before I divorced, and I discovered after my divorce that I'm now so knowledgeable, right, in how a woman should really invest money in a way where she can retire early. She would not go to her job to pay her bills, but to have fun. And I think that really was a power for me.
Do you think moms need this knowledge, because I feel like a lot of moms, they are not aware of financial freedom and things like that, and that's one of the reasons why it took me long to have kids, because I wanted to make sure that I had enough saving, investment, etc. to be able to.
Zara, how many moms do you know that they are in a marriage unhappy, miserable, because they cannot afford being on their own?
Yeah.
I know many moms like this. Our society is full of that, and especially in the Middle East, right? Because we are raised very early in life that marriage is a goal. But marriage is not a goal. Not everyone needs to get married. Not everyone needs to be a mom, right? But at least you need to find your identity. And I'm a big believer that you need to find your identity, and you need to fill your cup first, very well in life, before you have a baby. Because imagine you becoming a mom and your cup is not even filled, right? You're already reflecting that mental health on the baby, and then you're not going to be a happy mom. Your child is not going to be happy. So I'm a strong believer in filling your cup first, finding your purpose. You don't have to be the CEO of the next Apple company, but at least fill your cup, right? Understand yourself. Know the things that you like, know a little bit what you want to be, what's your purpose in life, and then have that motherhood journey all along. I think it helps a lot. And also know, and even if you don't want to have a career, or you don't want to be a full-time have a full-time job, or you don't want to be on a salary, at least know how to manage money, because managing your money is the most important thing, I think, along being a mom or
now I want to go back to when you decided to be in a relationship.
Yes.
And have another baby. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So to be honest, my second marriage came like a slap in my face. Just when they tell you just love finds you, you don't find love. And that's exactly what happened. I was really at a point where I don't want to go out on a date. Yes. I don't want to meet anyone, especially how I don't know who's here single.
These two.
But single life in Dubai is not for the faint-hearted. No.
I hear a lot of stories. Yeah.
Yes, dating in Dubai is tough, because it's not easy. It's not easy to be out there, especially for me. I'm a single mom. I'm a bit known in the community. Yes. I felt like, I felt you're naked, right? Yeah. You feel like it's not good to be under that spotlight. So at some point I was like, I'm really not interested, and for someone like me, I have this Oriental background, but I grew up in the West. I have a bit of the Western education. You go back to the Gulf, all my experiences, I'm a bit of this global citizen. Yeah. and then there are men from from this region that you don't get along with. You feel like it's just not happening. And at the same time, someone completely from the West also, because I still have a little bit of roots or a little bit of traditions here and there. So it was a bit very hard even to relate to a man. And I think also men in general, I'm not saying everyone, but the average man out there is intimidated by a strong,
successful woman.
independent
Yes.
woman, especially when she's a single mom. Because, I've done it all. I had babies, I was married, I'm a parent,
You're making money.
I'm making sometimes more than most men I meet on in a club or in a restaurant. So, what do they have to offer to me? Not much, right? So this whole scenario of that kind of profile woman is intimidating for a man. So you really need a very special man that embrace you, right? That embrace you, that hugs all of that and take it with, a lot of salt and pepper, a lot of grace, and then deal with it in a way
You need
where...
a man who find that as a strength
Yes.
and not like being intimidated or
And you
threatened.
need a very secure man in his own life to be able to get, to have a woman like this in his life and not feel that he is a bit threatened or his ego touched. So yeah, it happened completely by chance. We met online actually. On a dating app that was a little bit not the traditional dating app that you would have every day. It was more of a professional dating app. Yeah, and then he wasn't living here. He wasn't living in Dubai. Yeah, he came here on a business trip. And then we didn't meet physically. We were texting for like a month. And then we knew everything about each other. And then he came another time. We met. We went out on a date. And then that was it. It was like a coup de foudre. Yeah. And from that day on, we were like officially boyfriend girlfriend.
What a beautiful story, eh?
And then 3 months later, he announced that he's moving. He's moving to Dubai. So he moved to Dubai. He told me like, I'm just worried that long distance is is gonna make me kind of lose you or something. So he sold his house in Netherlands and he moved here. And then the rest was history.
Wow, I love hearing these stories because that goes to show.
There's hope.
Yeah. There is hope, but that goes to show as well when somebody really wants you, they will make the effort.
Oh, totally. And I totally believe in that because, sometimes when you meet people in Dubai, especially for single people I'm talking, there's so much ghosting happening. And then suddenly, you're talking for like 10 words a second, and suddenly it's like nothing for 2 days. And you're like, what's going on? Is he like schizophrenic or something? You know what I mean? But sometimes I really believe in that. I really believe that, when someone wants to be with you, they drop the games, they drop the drama, they drop the plays, they just make it.
There's no games.
Even if they're working 24 hours a day, they will make a minute, and that minute will be so genuine and so real, and you will just know from one look that he's real and he's there for you no matter what. I think I think sometimes as women we fool ourselves like, is he really into me?
We want to hold into that
maybe
hope.
He was caught in a meeting, maybe he was busy, maybe his battery was low. You know what I mean?
He didn't find his phone for 3 days.
Yes, exactly. But it's not true, If he wants to be with you, he'll just,
Exactly.
There's no
That's what I'm
BS
saying.
there.
Like, your story is amazing because that goes to show, like, if you're there to make the commitment, you're gonna make it.
Yes.
If you're not gonna make a commitment, it's from the beginning. It's like I lost my phone, I did that, all of the excuses,
It's true, and also sometimes you feel like you're pushed to do so much more.
I know.
Like I don't want to, this is who I am.
Yeah. Take it or leave it.
Exactly. You take it or leave it, and that's it.
Exactly.
If you want to be with me, you're with me. I'm not gonna go the extra mile or go out of my way to please or to. That's it.
Exactly.
And I think it's important,
And that's the type of man you want in your life. You want somebody who's gonna take all of you as you come.
Exactly.
With your lows and highs, with your background, with whatever you have, You don't want somebody to pick and choose like what he's taken from your personality
It's
or
true.
your life, right? Because
true.
you achieved so much until today. You don't want somebody to come and be like, no, I don't want you to do this. Someone who's gonna be lifting you up. And I see that you decided to have a baby with this man.
Yes, and
How
it was
did that
it was
come?
also completely unplanned. So that was one of the things, because after the trauma of having twins, being a single mom right after, being an only parent for 10 years, the decision of having a third child and a baby at my age, I was like, you know what? And
So
I
when you
think
got together with him, did you guys talked about having kids or no?
actually we went on our, I think, fourth or fifth date, and then he asked me. He was like, would you ever consider having a baby? And I told him back then, I was very diplomatic. I was like, it's really not something, in my books or in my plans or in my agenda. I never really thought about it after I divorced, but I always said to people, and I told him, I always said that when people ask me, if the right person comes and it feels right, why not at that moment? But it was never in my agenda. It was never like, I never woke up and I was like, I want a third child. No, because for me, already taking care of my twins, taking care of myself, building what I'm building, catering for their needs was already enough on my
And
plate.
healing from that process as well.
And healing from that process. And even the trauma of having another baby and saying, oh, what if I divorce again?
Yeah.
What if that marriage doesn't work? So early also, because we just met. It was like, everything was already overwhelming for me. So put on me also the idea of having a baby, and I would be like running away, right? So, and he was scared for me to run away after he asked that question, right? But I just, I handled it well. I was diplomatic. I didn't give him a yes. I didn't give him a no. And then it went on. And then the pregnancy was completely unplanned. I got pregnant by, kind of, we weren't really like planning, like,
Trying
okay,
and,
we're gonna, we want to get pregnant.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this. And then when I got pregnant, right after we got married, I was like, do I keep the baby or not? It was more that question. Wow. And then I remember that Luke was very like supportive, and I loved that about him.
What was his reaction?
And I think European men, they have this advantage over like Arab or Oriental man. I don't know if you would agree, but they are not pushy. I think in their needs. So even though he was dying to have a baby inside, he never pushed it. He was like, if this feels right for you, we do it. If it doesn't feel right for you, I have no problem, spending the rest of my life without a baby, And I think those words, they really, they go a long way with a woman, right? Because you don't want to feel pressured. You don't want to take the wrong decision for the wrong reason. So I remember I was pregnant for like almost 4 weeks, not knowing, if I'm gonna go along with that pregnancy or not, keeping it for myself, really like, thinking really like, do I want to do this one more time or not? And then I really thought, you know what, Rafif, life is too short. You're in love. Don't put your trauma from the past or your negative experience from the past on you now, and let it be the engine in your decision.
Maybe it's the silver lining.
Exactly. Maybe this is gonna be a blessing in your life. Maybe this is gonna bring another chapter of happiness in your life. And I also did not want to deprive him from the feeling of being a parent, because I tasted it and it felt amazing. Even though with all the struggles, I still feel so lucky and happy to be a mom, even though I was a single mom. It's still one of the best things that I've done in my life.
Absolutely.
So I didn't want to, live in that marriage and for him not to be having, and then maybe later I would feel guilty about it.
Especially when this happened,
Exactly.
Like, it's not like you're planning and it didn't happen. Totally. It happened, So to let him have also the same experience as you is really important.
Yes. So I said yes. So we went on with it. And then looking
So
back now, it was one of the best decisions.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. She's beautiful.
Oh,
I love
you.
her. I love seeing her online. Like, she's a cutie.
She is, and I feel like now, I was even telling him yesterday, she's really a product of love.
I know.
You know, and
Yeah.
and I love that feeling. Yeah.
So when you felt pregnant, how old were you?
With my third baby, so 40 something, 40 plus, yeah.
Why I want to talk about this is because
Yes.
there is a lot of stigma around
Yes.
moms having
Yes.
kids late in life,
Yes.
right? So I myself had my kids very late, my second 42, 43, so
Yes.
it's a normal agenda today in our, what do you think is easier for moms in our generation to have kids later in life? Do you think our lifestyle is different, or?
I don't think it's easier. I think it's harder. I just think that we didn't talk about it before. You know, I was hesitant, you know, to be pregnant at that age, and I really wanted to understand, like, what am I going for? And one of the ways of me feeling a bit maybe more, confident or safer was to reaching out to, to friends or people I knew that got pregnant in their 40s. Because for me, it was an area that was a little bit, especially that I come from a medical background. You know that in your 40s, the whole your reproductive system goes down, right? It goes down almost to no eggs. So for me, I really wanted to, like, okay, what is going to happen? What do I expect? Is my pregnancy going to be super complicated? What are the experiences of other women? So I think that helped me a lot, because all of the women in their 40s that I reached out to, they told me it was amazing. I only got positive things, because I only got, you're more mature. You know better when you say no. You don't take,
You don't take no for an answer.
yeah, exactly. You're allergic to bullshit. You don't, you know what I mean? Like, there were so many positive, and I found them so, like, empowered, right? Because they were strong, they were in their 40s, they had a baby, nothing moved them. And then they all told me, my pregnancy was amazing. I did not have any complication. It was like it was healthy, like any other woman. I delivered a baby. I went back to work. I bounced, because I knew my body better also. When you're older, you know your body better, right? You know when to rest. You listen to your body better. So I think that helped a lot, reaching out to them. It gave me more confidence. And better also when I went to my gynecologist. And when you are in your 40s and you go to your gynecologist and you're pregnant, you feel that you're maybe
geriatric.
Yes, exactly. Totally.
That's how we call it.
You feel that, I think unconsciously or socially, you put yourself in that box, in the box of the older women. But then my gynecologist told me, you're not, your body is like, you're in your 30s or your 20s. Don't be too hard on yourself. I'm dealing with you like any other pregnant woman, because, you have a healthy body. And he told me sometimes I would deal with a 25-year-old woman, but she's smoking, she drinks a lot of alcohol, let's say, she's not as fit as you, whatever, she has maybe a chronic disease or whatever, and then she might be not as healthy as a 40-year-old woman. So don't box yourself, just deal with your pregnancy, day by day, and then it's just,
and let's face it, I mean, you felt pregnant,
and it's true that there's a lot of misconcept about getting pregnancy older. And also when I went back in history with the family of my husband or the family of my friends, I noticed that in the history back in our generation of our grandparents, even there's a lot of women who got pregnant in their 40s and in their late 40s, because back in the days the women had more of a soul of an only reproductive role.
Mission.
Exactly. So a lot of them had babies in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, and in their late 40s. So, and it went well. But we just don't speak about it, because I think it's a little bit of a taboo. When you get pregnant late. So it's something that you want to do it hush hush.
Yes.
And now we are more putting it under the spotlight. Now celebrities are, on cover of magazines. They're 47 and they have their first baby.
Honestly, I had my kids late in life, and then I cannot imagine me being a mom at 20 or at 30. Like, my state of like mental health or whatever was going on, or my career was not on point for me to have kids, you know?
Yes.
So I think also later on in life is more powerful for more women, you know, like you can start at any age as long as you're healthy, you have eggs, you know, it's not a big deal,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
So how did that change your whole dynamic with the twins and
It's. I think it was it was good because for the twins now, you know, they see her as this little sister, and because of this huge gap in age, it's like you know, it's like they offer co-parenting a little bit. So the advantage is that there's no jealousy, right? Because you cannot be jealous from you know, a sister or a brother that is like you know, like a tiny little human being, and you're already big. So,
was it easier to blend the family and be all together in a unit with your new husband and your kids? How that process was?
it went very organically. I think the nice thing about my husband is that you know, he has a great relationship with them. He has a really like a positive role, you know, in their life, and that you know, and that I'm very lucky to have. The twins now, they are between their dad. Their dad moved back to Qatar, and then you know, they are between Qatar and here. They are even this year more in Doha than here. Because again, we had custody issues. You know, we're still in the custody battle. So yeah, but they embraced the baby very well. You know, they're very happy with her. I feel even that they, you know, they have this protective side. You know, so I'm really blessed with that, and it felt more like bringing all the family together. I think that baby brought the family together.
Rafif, I'm gonna ask you a few questions.
Okay.
It's a yes or no, or if you want to share something more, okay? So are you a coffee or tea person?
Tea.
Tea. Reusable diapers or disposable ones?
Disposable ones.
Baby-led feeding or puree?
Baby-led feeding.
Okay. Morning routine you cannot give up?
My cup of coffee and completely alone.
Okay. Best advice for new mom?
Invest in yourself.
Okay. Sports or arts?
Sports.
Best Netflix show that you've seen recently?
Oh, I didn't see it recently, but I really loved it, and nothing beats it after watching it. Firefly Lane.
Oh, I didn't
Yes.
see that one. Okay. I'm gathering Netflix shows for
It's
myself.
amazing. Yeah.
Co-sleeping or crib sleeping?
Sorry?
Co-sleeping with your baby?
Crib sleeping.
Crib sleeping.
100%. Yeah, I really believe in building independent babies. Okay. Yeah, and I know it's not for every mom.
Of course,
But
yeah.
but I was I was lucky and blessed with my twins and with my baby now that, you know, she sleeps they sleep
In her
on their
crib.
own in their
Yeah.
room.
Sleep training or no sleep training?
I wouldn't sleep train before some time. You know, usually I would not sleep train before 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was again lucky to have babies who sleep all night by themselves.
Pacifier or no pacifier? And I know, like, for
Yeah.
us, we had a discussion when I had Chloe for the pacifier.
Yeah.
So what's your intake in that?
Again, it's really based on every baby. With my twins, I did not, you know, they only used the pacifier when I stopped breastfeeding, and then it was really only like at bedtime for a few minutes, and that's it. You know, they didn't even have it during the day. And then I weaned off the pacifiers for them when they were 14 months. And it was like a cold turkey. Like it was one night I decided, I went downstairs, I put on the TV, they cried for 2 minutes, and then they fell asleep, and we never had the pacifier after that. So it was like very easy. But also because they weren't really attached to it, right? And you see how every baby has a different character. Exactly. With this baby, my husband was a thumb sucker. Okay. And then, you know, thumb sucking is very genetic. So it, you know, it really passes on from parent to baby. And I even saw on one of my pregnancy scans, her finger was always on her face in all her scans. We never even had the chance to see her face during my whole pregnancy because her fingers were always on her face. Yeah. So I knew that there was something. And then when she was born, she always had a tendency of putting her finger in her mouth.
Yeah.
So what I did from the beginning is, I knew she loves sucking on something.
Yeah.
So I knew that,
She will
she
eventually
wanted the
do that,
She
yeah.
wanted either to suck her thumb or have the pacifier. And I opted for the pacifier because you know how it's easier to wean
Yes.
from a pacifier than from a
Absolutely,
thumb. So that's what we're doing now. So she loves her pacifier. So I limit it to when she's super, super tired and I want to just rock her to sleep in those few minutes, or when she wants to go to her bed and she needs that for that few moments. And I'm trying to live with that now until the moment where, I will kind of train her to take it off. But it's a learning curve for every baby. So I really believe that, you do you.
Yes.
If you feel it's right, do it. But of course, but have knowledge.
Yes,
Get your knowledge well around pacifiers. Know that if the baby use it for long periods during the day, it's going to affect his bite.
Yeah.
It's going to affect the development of their jaws. It's going to affect the quality of their sleep. So minimize it to when they're very cranky, to the
I
bedtime.
remember when I came to see you with Chloe and you saw her
Yes.
jaw, you said, okay, it's time to start removing the pacifier. She was like 13-month-old, I think.
Yeah. So, have that knowledge, have the right source of knowledge, educate yourself, and based on that knowledge, see what fits with your baby, what doesn't fit. And also, you as a mom, you know the right timing. 13 months for me might be not good for you. You might be going through so much at 13 months. So, it's very important to, tailor that recipe and not make it as a rigid rule for everyone, because what works for me doesn't work for you. And that's it. Now she's 10 months. We're gonna start a little bit. I'm not taking it seriously now, but I know that at some point, I'm gonna train her to take it off.
Best podcast for moms.
Mom's Chronicles.
Good job. That's my girl.
Yeah. No, I keep rolling. No, to be honest, I've been to, me, yeah, and you saw my
Yes,
social
yeah.
media. I've been to a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of interviews, and this was by far the most enjoyable. And why is because I'm here as a mom, not as a dentist, not as an author, not as a businesswoman, but as a mom. And I think this has a special flavor, right? Yeah. And it's just more, it flows more naturally, right? There's no stress. So no, it was pleasant.
Thank you
Very
so much,
pleasant.
Rafif.
Yes.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. You're doing a great job, by the way. I think it's good for moms to hear all this, not just hear the nice
The rainbow and unicorns,
yes,
you know?
but hear the struggles, hear the
Reality.
drama,
Yes,
hear the
exactly.
yeah.
To close this amazing discussion that I had with you, and thank you for sharing everything that you shared today. Very
Thank you for
intimate
having me.
moments,
Yes.
What is one thing you want to say to a new mom?
I would say if you're a new mom, don't be too hard on yourself, and try to build yourself. Don't neglect building, your own self, right? Your own personal investment, your own financial independency. I think those are the real messages that I would really take away from my life if I want to advise a new mom or a super young mom now, just starting a marriage, starting a life, starting motherhood, whatever she's starting. I think it's very important for her not to let herself go in the process. Even if you want to have 10 kids, don't let yourself get diluted in that process. And that's a very important thing, because the more you're there for yourself, the more you will be there as a mom, the more you will be there as a wife, right? So that's really much. And I think as a mom or as a woman, sometimes we get diluted unconsciously without thinking what we're doing. We forget about ourselves, and we forget to build ourselves, and we forget to invest in ourselves, right? Yes. Because at the end of the day, we are a mom, but at some point your child is gonna grow up to a high schooler or to a teenager or to university, and you're gonna end up being on your own again. Yes. So build that part of you that stays with you all through your life, right? And it will help you, be, in a better position in all the other aspects of your life. And I actually read a quote last week that I really, related to, and it made so much sense even after all those years, that the child borrows the mental health of their parent.
That is totally true.
And I think it's so true, and I relate to it, when I was a single mom, when now I'm married again, I have a baby, all this, and I think it's so true. So really be careful what you lend, your child, right, as a mental health, and work on that, because that's your biggest strength as a mom.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rafif, for coming.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
yes,
you.
Yes,
And,
it was such a pleasure.
Amazing hearing all your stories. You breaking all the rules.
Yeah, we did for the first time. I don't talk about dentistry.
Yeah. It's amazing, no?
And that's so nice, right? Yes, and we didn't talk about the book also. Yes, true. Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in today and listening to Dr. Rafif, and I'll see you on the next episode.